Welcome to another video in our Impact series. I'm Henrik from Membrain, and this is where we explore how the art and science of B2B sales come together to drive real measurable impact. Today, we're going to take a look at how you can add potential to your strategic accounts in just a few clicks so you can have a better and deeper understanding of where they fit into your business going forward. So let's take a look. This is something you should have in place today. A list of your customers, and you hopefully have a way to sort them by size. If not, at least anecdotally, you probably have a good understanding of your biggest customers in terms of generating revenue for your business. So just to start with, the value here is of course depending on how you measure that. This may be lifetime value of your customers. It may be the total contract that they're currently on, or they may be the revenue they've brought in the last 12 months. For the purposes of this exercise, we're going to treat these as annual account plans. So this is how much they bought so far this year. What we're going to add to this is a dimension of how much we think they can spend with us. So if I switch over to the growth grid view here, what we can see, and this is a blind spot for most revenue organizations today, the further to the right, the bigger the account, but will that really reflect their ability to grow with you going forward? If I zoom in a little bit, we can see all of these are on the bottom part of this screen. What that indicates so beautifully in this visualization is a blind spot. The customers that are big are on the right, but how much can they grow with us? How can we tell the difference? Are the biggest customers the one that will really continue to deliver that growth that you need to see in the future? And among these volume segment customers that are on the left-hand side, a little closer here, they're small today, but which one of these have the potential to actually grow with us? So that's what we're going to take a look at today. So let's dive in and look at how we can add this dimension with just a few clicks. So this is going to be a little simplified for the purposes of this video, but it should give you a nice foundation to have a view like this come alive to dynamically segment your customers in the appropriate segment quadrant in this grid. For now, I'll go back to the list view. So here, we have our list of customers. We have their value, their size with us. And again, this is the annual account plan value as we know it today. Maybe we're halfway through the year, let's say. Let's then add potential. So I'm going to click on the cogwheel here and add potential. And I'm also going to add untapped potential. So here, we're now going to be able to see that we have a couple of other columns. And I'm going to move these just to the left so I can have these nicely side by side. All right, so here, this is the simplified part of this video, because obviously this is a blind spot, right? How much more can Novaburst buy? We don't know, versus the smallest customers. So if I flip the sorting here, maybe this is the biggest opportunity for our business going forward. Right now, it's just blank. And this is a huge issue for revenue organizations where you don't know which of the smaller customers have untapped potential that you need to really start to approach and find the right way to materialize. So we have a new field here. And what we can do is just start to put in a value. So obviously, if I'm just guessing here, that's not really going to be helpful. And this is, again, the simplified part of this video, right? Because putting this in will not really give us, in this way, that would just be random. It wouldn't give us a great way to lead our organization towards new revenue targets. But what we're trying to show you here is this is how easy you get the information in. And then you can structure workshops with your key account team, customer success team, whatever it is might be in your business, right? To have this exercise be something that they do on their key accounts, their strategic customers, partners, distributors, whatever it might be. So back to this, once we've now added the potential here, we also get this. We get the untapped potential, right? How much more remains? And when we populated a few of these customers, we're going to be able to sort it by potential and by untapped potential. So what I'll do here, I'm going to pause the recording a little bit, and I'll basically come back to this after this hypothetical team has done this exercise of identifying the potential and documenting it in this field so that we can have a totally different view of our key accounts. So I'll pause the video, click through them in the same way that I just did here, mimicking that exercise for the whole team, and see what would this look like when we had this all populated. Okay, so our hypothetical team has now gone through the exercise of populating this potential on their accounts. So let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, so here we have it. We have our customers sorted by size, and we now have this column of potential, and also by extension then, the untapped potential automatically populated. The untapped potential is just potential minus what they've already bought. That would be the difference. That would be what we're looking for. We believe they can buy this much more, grow this much more, and so on. So if we sort them by size, this list looks a certain way. If we sort them by potential, it looks another way. And if we sort them by untapped potential, it shifts even more. So these are three very powerful points to be able to make decisions on, make priorities on, and really move your business forward with. So let's go back to that growth grid, the visualization that shows on the side axis, you would have the biggest customers. And on the y-axis, the height of it, you would have the most untapped potential. Let's see what that looks like with this potential now identified by our team. So here we have a growth grid with both dimensions populated. So there are a couple of things here that stand out, right? NovaBurst, our biggest customers, they remain to the top right. They are our biggest customers, and they can continue to grow with us. Octopus Electrical, not that much growth potential left. Still an important customer and so on. They're still a high value customer. But look at this. Perhaps the most interesting part here is on the left-hand side. So we have a volume segment, but if we're looking at something here like, oh, that was too difficult to pronounce for me. Let's go here. Fallet Public Safety. This customer has bought for $150,000 this year and an untapped potential of $22K. All right, so that's interesting. That's good. But if we didn't have the potential as a dimension here, we would treat this customer way more prioritized than Segmentation accounting here. That, yeah, they basically bought for a similar amount of money, but Segmentation has a lot more potential as far as we understand. And look at it, look at this. Platypus here, they've only bought for $80K, but because they're part of a company structure or something along those lines, or we think they've just been acquired, there's a lot of potential, whatever it might be, we've unearthed that there is a massive potential for us here. And with these two dimensions in place, we can now start to treat these differently. We can have completely different guidelines, rule sets, and expectations on customers in the lower part of the screen versus the right hand, left hand, and so on. So that we can identify accounts like Platypus here and say, oh, wow, we have all of this potential, but we haven't talked to them for a year. That's pretty extreme. Hopefully that's not going to be the case for you and your team. But we haven't talked to them in a year, and we haven't moved them forward in our account process for the last 90 days. That's something that warrants our attention, right? If we really want to make sure that we can materialize this potential. Okay, so this is very, very important, that as they then grow and move, they will move to the right as they grow with you as customer, and they will go up and down depending on the potential and untapped potential that has been identified. And this is something that you can then, through annual or quarterly exercises, right size and update. And the way I just added those values is as easy as you get it into a tool like Membrain, so you can visualize your accounts in this way. If you don't have a tool like this, you can do this in Excel. There are graph types you can do there to get this out. Obviously, this is going to have an impact on how you do it ongoing if you have a tool that supports you and you can have dynamic rules and such. But conceptually, everybody should be doing this. Everybody should segment their customers in some way along these lines. I want to add something to this as well. So as the team goes through this exercise, and I'm going to go back to the list view, one thing that could be good is to add a text box that just outlines a little bit of a description as to where does this potential come from. So this is really easy to do, and it's a very simple starting point. You can then grow beyond this and do more fancy things later on. And we're going to cover more advanced ways of handling this in the future. But I'll go into the process editor. I'll scroll down, and in the, let's say in the desired outcomes box, I will add a new custom field. I'll make it a rich text field. So we can have some bullet points and images if we want to, and just say potential description or something, or explanation or something along these lines. And here you can outline where the potential is intended to come from, how are we going to execute on materializing it, and so on. So save, going back to the top, and I'm going to publish this process, clicking OK. I have an updated process available to everybody on the team. And here in this view, what you can now do is I'll search for it to easily find it and say this new field, potential description. And I'll add that then, let's say just to the leftmost column and say, Novaburst can grow by 30% bananas if we're selling fruit, 50% pears, some consultancy hours as well, 3 million euros, dollars, or something along those lines. So it's a simple way to just outline where does this come from. It's a great starting point. You can then see it right here from the list. And by going into one of these, you can now also see right exactly from here, where's this potential going to come from? You can now have different rules, different segments based on where are the customer today, what is the potential, what is the untapped potential. You can visualize them, you can track their journey in this way, and you can now start to really prioritize and be aware of that second dimension. So hopefully this is helpful and gives you a new structure to model this type of segmentation. And it will allow you to have a more consistent, more strategic, and data-informed approach to account growth management. So, as always, I hope this was helpful and gave you something practical that you can apply right away. And again, you can get the data out of whatever BI tool or whatever it is you have. Conceptually, this works. This is how most revenue organizations would have a major step up against their competitors. So with this in place, keep following the Impact series as we here at Membrain continue our journey with you to elevate B2B sales.